that some of you aren't sure all the things that are available to you, so I'm taking a few moments here to show you some of that. So the place you want to start always is Blackboard, and it should open up to announcements when you log in. This is what my page for our class, Spanish 2 25007, looks like. And so I see that the latest announcement is from Thursday, and of course I know I already read that, so I'm not concerned about announcements. You can go to the discussion board here and find some information informal, and I see that no one has made any posts, made any questions, posted any questions for me. I'm not sure who's looking at Grammar Tidbits because I don't see. Here's a place to informally introduce yourself. Here's a place to find out how to get in touch with your classmates or me on Skype. You have an oral exam at the end of the semester that's worth 20% of your final grade. The best way to practice for that is to have oral conversation through the course of the semester. Of course, there's a spot for you to make feedback for me. I'll just look in the Grammar Tidbits for a second and show you that there is stuff that I have posted there about formal commands, telling time, how to memorize verbs, direct object pronouns, how does gustar work, how do reflexive verbs work. They actually come in Chapter 7. I've made all these posts as anonymous, but these are all mine, so I'm open to your suggestions. You're welcome to respond to these posts, and with more questions, you can also post your questions in the section called Preguntas para Profe. You can post questions under Grammar Tidbits, wherever it works for you. So that's one little bit of resources. Then if you go to assignments, you will see that I have a little blurb here about best practices. And I think some of you have not realized you can click on this lesson 6 to get into this folder, and you're going to get a lot more guidance on how to be prepared to do well on these assessments here that are due on Sunday the 10th. Oh, I guess that's 2 weeks from today, huh? So you got some time. Okay, so let's click on that, and it's going to tell us, it's going to give us my recommended schedule. You should read at the lesson 6 of your text, either your V-text or your textbook, whatever you prefer, days 1 and 2. That would have been Wednesday and Thursday. You should learn on the VHL Super site about what you read by going to the tutorials. I'll show you how to do that. That would be days 3 through 6. So that would be days Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday. Then you'd start practicing for a few days. And then finally, you would go to do the assessments and make sure that you know the material well enough to then go and do the WebSam, which is graded. The assessments are graded on completion. They will tell you your grade. The website will tell you how well you've mastered the material. If you're satisfied with your level of mastery, you can go on and do the WebSam, which is actually graded for a grade. So assessments are graded on completion so that you'll do them and you will know whether you've mastered the material or not before you go on to do the things that are graded for a grade. Finally, after the last day of the lesson, you have a week to take the exam. And of course, there's a link for feedback. Now let's see what that looks like on the VHL website. If you go, oh, also there's a section here where you can click and find out tips and strategies, how to move through the lesson. I'm not going to look at that one, but you should. So if I go to VHL, here I am signed in, I go to Vistas. The first thing that I want to do is, actually I need to go to preview student site. The first thing, this is nice to see the next 10 assignments due, but it isn't really the best place to look for assignments. The place to look for assignments is in Blackboard. And it even tells you here, each lesson, so lesson 6, contains approximately 85 assignments. So obviously, this is not the only thing I have due for lesson 6. So the first thing that I want to do is go through to the V-text, and I'm going to go to Contents and go to Chapter 6, and I'm going to flow through, go away. I'm going to flow through this chapter, page by page, reading the material, writing down questions that I have. Personally, I very much prefer a textbook, but there are some nice things about this. For example, I can click on this.
El abrigo.
And he's going to tell me how to pronounce it.
La camiseta. El traje de baño. La falda.
Well, there's a woman, but she's not coming up.
La blusa.
I guess she's not talking today.
Efectivo.
There she goes.
El dinero.
All right. So that's a nice thing about this. I study the vocabulary, go to the next page. I can do some practice, and this tells me there's practice online. So if I click here, it's going to take me to a practice. Let's see, what am I supposed to do? Listen.
Hola, me llamo Juanita. Mi familia y yo salimos de...
I didn't read the directions. Listen to Juanita and Vicente talk about what they're packing for their vacations. Select who is packing each item. So these are the practice things that we can do. That's automatically going to show up if you go to the vText. I'm going to close that up. I can also go to tutorials. Now I go to lesson 6. And there's going to be a tutorial. I've got flashcards, tutorials 1, 2, and 3. All kinds of stuff going on in here to help me. Also tutorials about the grammar. So once I've looked at the textbook, I can watch these tutorials. Then I can go and do practice. Or if I'm going through the textbook, I will get practice. So here's the first practice that's about contextos, which contextos is always vocab. And if I click on this little blue thing here, it's going to take me to that same exercise, that same page that we were looking at before. So bottom line is there's more than one way to get to the same things. Tutorials in practice are not graded, not on completion, and not on mastery. They're just things for you to use to prepare to do the WebSam. Now, I'm suggesting that you do the assessment before you do the WebSam because the assessment is not graded. The WebSam is. So once you've been through the chapter and done the tutorials and the practice, you feel confident that you know the material, you go to the assessments, which you've already done. You've experienced these before in chapters 1 through 5. I wouldn't necessarily be concerned about doing this one immediately because it's going to be much longer. Obviously, it's lessons 1 through 6, but these 3, 1, 2, 3, see how I feel about knowing the material, see how I get graded on them. If I get graded well enough, then I will go into the WebSam, and there are my 80-something activities that I have to complete. You don't want to leave these for the last night, do you? I hope not. I hope this has been helpful, and as always, I welcome you to contact me and ask for other help. Now I'm looking for how to turn off the video recorder. Bye!